What's up, everybody? Thanks as always for supporting the show. It would mean a lot to me if you would take a second to scroll down and hit that subscribe button to the Hoops Tonight YouTube channel, and then follow me on social media on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter so you guys don't miss any of our content over the course of this season. All right, let's talk some basketball. There's a concept that I talk about a lot on this show, the concept of aggregate ball handling. What that means is, like, if you take any five-man grouping and you have one outstanding ball handler, but the other four guys can't dribble well, you have great top-end ball handling, but you don't have great down the roster, like, aggregate ball handling. Teams like that would, to demonstrate that, would be a team like the Dallas Mavericks, for instance, right? Where Luka Doncic is this incredible ball handler, but down the roster, they don't have great ball handling. One of the advantages of aggregate ball handling is it gives you the ability to make multiple attacks at an elite defense, which sometimes is the best way to beat an elite defense. A lot of times when it comes to the top tier defenses in the league, your first action is not going to get the job done. Your first action might get you a little bit of an advantage somewhere on the floor, and you need to take that little advantage and expand it into a greater advantage, and so on and so forth until you get a great shot. And I actually clipped two examples this morning on my Twitter feed at _JasonLT, where you guys can see some video examples of this, where it's, KD is running a ball screen and he kind of gets downhill and he makes a kickback pass to Devin Booker on the wing, who then rips to the left and gets downhill and makes a kick out pass to Bradley Beal, who makes one extra pass to the wing to Grayson Allen, who pump fakes and drives to the lane and finishes at the rim. And it's like, if you watch the defense on that possession, it's a very well defended play by an Orlando Magic team that has a ton of athletes and is excellent in help side. That is their strength. That's what the Magic do best. Even in this recent stretch where the Magic are really struggling, they're defending really well. They're huge. They're athletic. They have high motor. They have excellent point of attack defenders. And so you're not going to just get a lot of easy shots, right? And the Suns just did an immaculate job in this particular game of that high level closeout attacking. And what it helps is, like, we talk so much about the off ball rolls and we focus so much on shooting, and it's actually a misconception when it comes to spacing, where people just think, oh, I need to have a 45% three-point shooter on the weak side. Well, if you've got a team, especially a defensive scheme that rotates really hard and chases guys off the line, all of a sudden spot-up shooting doesn't mean nearly as much as the actual ability to make reads and attack closeouts, right? That it becomes more valuable. And what's interesting is guys like Devin Booker and Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant, those are guys that we primarily see in on-ball roles, but by virtue of having three of them on the floor, you get to see lots of examples of them playing with an advantage. And when you give top tier scorers like that an advantage, like a defender sprinting at them, they can make the game look really easy at times, and they did, as they stiff-armed the Magic throughout this game. Even when the Magic briefly took a lead in the early fourth quarter, where Franz Wagner was picking on Chimezie Metu and switches and was just beating him off the dribble, and then the Suns had to try to blitz to try to prevent that switch, and then Franz Wagner hit the short roll man, which led to a quick kick-out three, I think, for Gary Harris on the left wing, and they briefly took a 1-point lead. But then Bradley Beal got a couple of buckets, and the Suns just regained control of the game. Never really felt like they didn't have the more functional half-court offense in this particular game as they ran away with it. And you even saw at stretches after the Suns were driving, kicking them to death early, then you saw these possessions where it's like Kevin Durant running a pick and roll off of the right wing and getting downhill, and it's Bradley Beal and Devin Booker on the left wing, left corner, and their guys are just hugged up on them. And so KD's just working by himself, getting into the lane. And on this particular possession, he ended up smoking the layup, but he engaged Bitadze at the rim, and so Nurkic ended up getting a putback anyway. But like, if you watch Bradley Beal and Devin Booker on the weak side, and the Magic just aren't helping. There's another one where Bradley Beal is driving off of a left wing pick and roll, and Kevin Durant and Devin Booker are on the weak side. Kevin Durant's on the right wing extended, and he's been deadly with above the break 3-point shooting this year, right? Devin Devin Booker in the right wing. Magic players glued up to him. As a result, Bradley Beal got to get all the way downhill and patiently work to get a shot off at the rim against Anthony Black. I actually trimmed both of those clips as well. You guys can see them on the Twitter feed. But the moral of the story here is when you have this much offensive skill on the floor, the game gets a lot easier. And again, a lot of the struggles that the Suns had earlier in the year, you take Brad Beal out of the equation, you put in a much lesser offensive player, it starts to look more like a traditional two-star, configuration like we see everywhere around the league. And suddenly those weak side players, they don't seem like they have enough firepower to make it work. Kevin Durant, Devin Booker fatigue. They get into the fourth quarter. The aggressive defense starts to force turnovers. The Suns start to miss even the open shots that they get, and it can crater, right? But then you throw Brad Beal into the equation. Even the guys like Grayson Allen and Eric Gordon, Yusuf Nurkic, or Chimezie Metu, who's actually been playing a lot for the group lately, those guys suddenly get slotted into more achievable roles. You've got Bradley Beal, Devin Booker consistently working in closeout opportunities. Everything looks a lot easier. The other thing I like about Brad Beal is he brings a very different type of attack to what Kevin Durant, Devin Booker bring to the table. Devin Booker is a good athlete. Kevin Durant is has a great physical frame, but neither of those guys are like outstanding slashers. But Bradley Beal is actually a top tier athlete for his position when he's healthy, and he brings a lot of downhill force to the table. And when Franz Wagner went on that run in the fourth quarter as the Magic took the lead, it was Bradley Beal's rim pressure that actually got them back into the lead. There was a possession where he got Wendell Carter Jr. on a switch, and he was able to just beat him off the dribble, like just toast him off the dribble and get all the way to the rim. That's a downhill athlete play. Like that probably ends up in a pull-up jump shot if it's Kevin Durant or Devin Booker, right? There was another play where they picked him up full court. It was like the very next possession, and they're trying to apply ball pressure. One of the best ways to beat ball pressure is to just be the bigger, stronger athlete and go past him to the rim. And Bradley Beal just toasted him off the dribble and got all the way to the rim. I think that fit makes a ton of sense. You even saw one of the things I talked about a lot when the Suns were struggling was that KD's defense wasn't as good as it can be, and a lot of that came down to workload. I thought KD had one of his best defensive games of the season against the Magic. Early in the game, he had a couple of steals in just the first few possessions playing in passing lanes. He was bothering a ton of shots at the rim. You have to have the energy to do that, though. And when he's required to do that much more offensively, you can expect his defensive effort to wane. That's just normal, especially for a guy in his late 30s. And so I thought all of it just seems to make a lot more sense with Bradley Beal in the group. A very, very encouraging sign. And one of the big reasons why I've been saying all year with the Suns, like, my concerns with them are still there as it pertains to the bigger matchups in the Western Conference, right? Teams like the Wolves, teams like the Nuggets, teams like the Lakers. But I think writing them off was silly because the entire configuration of the team was designed to involve all three of those guys. Like, they know they're not as big and strong on the front, but they're going to have a ton of offensive skill on the floor, more offensive skill on the floor than just about anybody they play, and that's going to be their advantage. If they can play to that advantage, if they can drive and kick for layups and threes more often than they drive for tough mid-range pull-up jump shots, and they fit that offensive shot profile that they need to fit, they have a chance. They have a chance with that kind of talent on the floor.